Hi all, it's the 1st of September 2023 and we're checking in on Typhoon Saola, which is approaching Hong Kong and will soon pass at its closest point to Hong Kong. It's bringing a strong surge from the east on the northern flank, and along with that a band of extreme winds are due to pass over Hong Kong Island and through Hong Kong. You can immediately see a couple of things with this satellite imagery. First is that the storm has actually contracted. The eye has grown smaller, but the whole circulation has contracted to a certain degree. That was predicted in the models, actually. There's also been some warming of the cloud tops. There's definitely some indications that the storm system has been weakening and is certainly not a super typhoon anymore. The eye and general inner core circulation is clearly visible on the radar imagery from Hong Kong. The eye looks like it is going to pass directly over Da Nang Dao Island, which is the largest island in this chain, and that means that the eye wall will probably just clip Hong Kong Island on the southern side. As the storm is passing through, the waves will be rising very rapidly to very high levels. Here we can see 7.1 meters by the ECMWF model, and that is going to move in and produce and help build with the surge as it comes into the eastern areas of Hong Kong in the coming hours. It appears that Saola will be closest to Hong Kong around midnight tonight, skirting within around 40 kilometers south of the Hong Kong Observatory. Northerly winds will change gradually to east and southeasterlies locally. Something of note from the Hong Kong Observatory is that they are suggesting a high water level of around 6 meters above the chart date, and it's about 4 meters higher than the normal tide level. The maximum water level may reach a historical record, they say. These areas hit are going to be in the east. That's Sha Tin, Tai Po, Shao Tao Kok, Sai Kung. If we look at the latest run from the HAFS-A, which is probably the best one for looking at the more detailed structure of the storm, we can see the storm and why they're saying midnight. Hong Kong is 8 hours ahead of GMT or UTC. So as it comes in, this is valid at 12 UTC, so that's 28 PM Hong Kong time. And then you can see why they're saying midnight passage will be the worst as the swath comes in. And the northern side should have the slightly stronger winds, which means that there could be some funneling in the topography as we go down the channel, because the channel between Kowloon and Hong Kong Island is roughly oriented east to west. So I would expect the wind flow to come down through the channel, and there could be potentially a surge of hurricane force winds that comes across the city. That's why the Hong Kong Observatory have issued an advice to batten down all hatches, lock all doors. And if we look at the winds above the surface, actually that contraction is less evident, and we see how the swath of wind and the strongest winds on the northern side at 700 millibars shown here, as they come across, they spread well over Hong Kong Island into Hong Kong and into China, mainland China. So that is an indication that there is a potential for a downward momentum mixing off the mountains to bring very strong winds down to the surface, even though the lower level circulation does seem to be contracting. But if we check the satellite derived intensity, we can see that the intensity is certainly dropping off, and hopefully will continue to drop quickly as the storm passes just south of Hong Kong. At the last advisory at 6Z, JTWC, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, had the storm at 120 knots, 1 minute sustained. However, this was forecast to drop, and is certainly dropping, as we just saw in the satellite intensity. So an estimate of 95 knots as the storm passes, as it's just passed, maybe 100, seems pretty accurate. 100 knots sustained at those islands off to the south of Hong Kong, where the direct passage will be. That's 115 miles per hour, which is 185.2 kilometers an hour. That's 1 minute sustained, so gusts will be higher. After Hong Kong, the next major urban center that is due to be impacted would be Macau, and that is down here. The storm should have weakened somewhat by then. Probably down to Category 1 intensity. Yesterday, the Sentinel-2 satellite got this extremely detailed view of the eye of the super typhoon. At the time, it was Super Typhoon Saola. These eye images are not very common because Sentinel-2 only gets images in swaths near and over land. So on that note, I will leave it and end this quick report.